men, and they were their ship was trapped between ice floes next to Antarctica in 1914, and they should have all died, but due to the decisions of this person and the leadership, they survived this situation. And filmmakers and musicians and poets, and basically what I'm saying is that
you can find inspiration from,
you can find it anywhere,
every corner of the world, anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't just have to be people doing the same thing as you.
I think, as I said earlier, it's a revival of poetry. Honestly, I've not heard a poem of recent times for years together. I don't recall hearing. And the best part of, the poem that you've made is it's filmed. So it's rated in the way that you want to convey the message. How do you think, can we promote poetry to a bigger level, like any other form of art, like music and theatre? They're already big. So do you think poetry can actually take a bigger place in the world? Because it's very humble. Poetry is there could be drama, but it's more realistic. It's more real time. It's more what the poet feels about a situation or about a place or a person. It's more realistic, and I just love the way you narrated it and actually got the message through. So do you think poetry can make it big in this world? How could we preserve it?
I think it's incredibly preserved. I just think it's evolved and we haven't noticed. Poetry is actually in pop songs, in films, in religious songs, in so many places. It's all poetry because it's deeply embedded in our culture. What I think people generally mean when they ask this question is the poetry of hundreds of years ago that we study in our schools, like Tagore, writing these beautiful, these beautiful concise imagery through their words and thought provocation. Whether we can preserve that, I believe that we will always look to that. The example I would give is how as the world moves, the ways that we tell stories and share art evolves. Like writing down ideas and sharing them on paper. It's been around incredibly long time. Film has been around, just over 100 years, 130 years. We've been able to film things, and 20 years after that, record sound as well. So, when you think about this as an art form, it's completely in its infancy. But already we're trying to push this, now we're trying to do it in 3 dimension, and we put on these big goggles, and we're really interested in consuming as many of the senses as possible when we tell stories, because we want to feel stories. We want to feel them through touch and through sound and through smell and through pictures and colors, through taste. We're really sensory, right? And 150 years ago, if you wanted to experience someone's poetry, you either had to be in the room where it was being read out loud, in the theatre, or you could read it written down. But now I'm able
everyone has a different perspective while they read it. But this is the first time when the poet himself is narrating his own piece, his own artwork. And
No, but still,
he's trying to convey the message, what he actually
Right through
wants
his
to
heart.
write. Yeah.
I've spoken to thousands of people in the last 5 months, and everyone has their own perspective. Even though it was me reading the poem in the video, and even though I chose the clips that you would then see of the turtle or the plane or the factory smoke, everyone has their own interpretations, because that's what we do. Because I think we take the stories that are in front of us, and we, in order to make it useful, we apply it to our own lives. And so what you will see in this poem is completely different from, what someone in a high-rise office block in the middle of New York will see in this poem. And
would interpret it.
But the interpretations are equally valid. And I suppose the reason I'm not just writing my poems down and trying to share them is because we're in a competition for people's attention as artists, because actually, there's so many. I say this in a positive way, not a cutthroat competition. I mean a really positive, the best form of competition, the healthiest, most pure form of competition, because actually we're all just presenting ideas, and effectively the ideas that are useful to people will surface, and the ones that aren't useful will stay on the forest floor. And it's like, okay, I need to push myself further, because that wasn't that wasn't what people needed. And so the reason I'm trying to make my videos accessible, so I'm making them so people can access them freely in multiple places, whichever is your preferred place to use the internet. I'm trying to speak slowly, because I'm really interested in people who English may not be their first language, and I still want you to be able to understand what I'm thinking and what I'm trying to express. I'm interested in using words that don't make me sound like I'm incredibly intelligent, but that are understandable because
it's very easy language that you've used.
But I think that's important, because if you make your language too complicated, you might feel like you're doing something that shows how intelligent you are, and that may be a nice massage for the ego, but I think you'll alienate people from understanding what you're trying to say to them, and I'm not interested in that. I want as many people to understand what I'm trying to say as possible. And so you've got to put things in language that is beautiful if you can, and that's also accessible. I think that's just as important as beauty, access. So you got to try and weigh up those two things. So this is the challenge.
So the language what you are using is for the common people, to make them understand and pass on your message very easily and conveniently to all over the world, not only to some particular place, is it?
Well, I'm trying my best. I went to university, and I was encouraged while I was there. I did a course while I was at university. One of my courses was on poetry. And I looked around, and I had a very strong feeling that what the course was trying to do was it was trying to teach me how to use language to create poetry that would only be accessible to intellectuals, to university professors, because these are the only people that would be able to penetrate the meaning of what I was saying. And I really felt that that's what what was being impressed upon me and taught. And I used to try to push back against this. I used to try and write in a way that I'd be able to read the poem to my school friends, or friends of mine who left school at the age of 16. Now they work on building sites as roofers or electricians or plumbers. I wanted to write in a way that I could deliver it to you know, to someone in that profession, and they wouldn't feel alienated. They would understand. Maybe they would be inspired. Maybe they would find the humor. You know, maybe they would follow the story. And I was, you know, I never think of the common people because I don't know what I don't know what that is. I think you know, there's this spectrum of people with a spectrum of intelligence, a spectrum of you know, wealth, a spectrum of interest in various subject matters, and I like to think that I want to make my work as inclusive as possible to that spectrum of people, not just to the you know, not just to the highly educated people of this world, because, you know, why there's plenty more people on that spectrum. And I think this is the trap that we fall into often, personally, and I think this is why people, when you say you're going to deliver some poetry, I think this is why so many people, like, you know, turn away from you. I think it's because they feel instantly like, well, I'm not going to understand this. This is going to be helpful to me.
The vocabulary which the poet usually use is out of their, you know, box, and they are not.
And most of your poems are actually you're communicating with your sibling, you know, with younger people, and I mean, every poem of yours has, you know, a younger, like a younger generation that you want to deliver to. So that actually also talks a lot about the audience that you want to target. It's not really the highly intellect or a certain class of people, you know, right from a young boy or a girl of, you know, 7 years old. You know, if the message is getting delivered, I think you've achieved a lot, and I think it's a success that you've already achieved, whether YouTube gives you followers or no. But I think, you've got your target straight and head on, and you've achieved your success.
Well, you mustn't say that to me, because if that is true, then there is nothing more for me to do. You know, I really hope, deeply actually, that the most valuable contribution I can make is ahead of me, because if the most valuable contribution I can make is behind me, then what do I do with the rest of what do I do with the rest of this time? Because I'm 26 and I want to be here for another 26 years, and it's you know, if I've achieved what I'm supposed to have achieved, then that's actually a scary thought. So I'm hoping that was a wonderful moment, but I'm hoping I've still got things to do.
Yeah. So, Tom, you are a filmmaker, a poet, and a writer at the same time. Out of this, which is the best or thing which you are more inclined towards? And what are your future plans? Are we going to get more poems from you, or are we going to get more film writings, or are you going to get into streaming of Hollywood, maybe in the near future? Or some
Bollywood.
You must come to Bollywood.
Bollywood interests me just as much as Hollywood, I think. I think that all my life I've been making it up as I go along, and I've been trying to respond to opportunities as they present themselves. I really don't believe I don't believe in binding myself, you know, to making the proclamation that I will be communicating with people in this way for the foreseeable future, like because I don't know, you know, it feels like the right thing to do in this moment. Maybe something else will emerge. Ad campaigns, you know, I've always really been suspicious of ad campaigns, and I've always resisted the thought that I would work in that sphere. But you know, then you start to learn about your own economy, and you start to think, well, you start to make trade-offs. You know, you start to think, well, okay, if I do that, then I'm able to do this over here, and I don't have to charge people to watch my poems because I've been able to sustain myself for a period of time. And so you're constantly doing these little mental backflips of justification for your decisions. Ultimately, I have no idea, but I'm gonna try and be open and honest, and I'm gonna try as best I can to behave with integrity for as long as I possibly can. That's what.
So I can sum up that Tom wants to be a versatile artist. He just don't want to be bound to be, you know, just a poet or a filmmaker or an actor, right?
Well, for as long as it feels good. I don't, you know, I want to.
You're welcome to join Bollywood. You're welcome to India. Absolutely a pleasure. Would love to have you here and at our school. I mean, I just wanted to give you a little brief of the school, and we would love to have you here at Sweet Memories School. It's located on a beautiful hill station. It's called Panchkini. Would you like to say that name? Like
Panchkini.
Panchkini. Yeah. Panchkini, that's right, you got it. So Panchkini means it's a group of 5 hills. Panch means 5. It's a group of 5 hills. It's located in a tourist place in close proximity to Mumbai. I'm sure you're familiar with Mumbai. Very close to Mumbai, and it's a beautiful location. Actually, I would love to show you around. We are sitting in amidst hills and valleys, and the entire view from the school is completely the valley view, and it's different from the city life that Mumbai and metros have to offer. So it's been a hub of schooling. There are more than 40 schools currently, residential schools in Panchkini, and the first school has started up more than 100 years back. So we would love to have you come speak to our children when the pandemic is over. Do you have any plans to visit India? Have you heard? What are your views? What is your perception of the people here, the culture?
Complete awe. To be completely honest with you, I think that I actually, it's incredibly. I said to my best friends in 2019. For some reason, I had this overwhelming urge. I said to them all, for the whole of February of 2020, I'm going to save up some money. I'm going to travel to India, and I'm going to travel around India on my own. Yeah, this is what I said. And then
that's great.
And then this was disrupted by the virus. But I've been once to Goa with my dad, and the people were so full of kindness. The food was exquisite. The land was colourful. I've got to say the divide between the rich and the poor in India is incredibly potent. Is incredibly extreme. But that's not that doesn't speak for the immense sense of warmth and beauty and culture I felt while I was there.
Thank you. Really humbled by your words for the country. So I'm looking forward to seeing you here, and we would love to host you. And it would be really nice for our children, as I said, for all of us to meet you. And there would be, I think, many more poems. Or many more, maybe more films or more poems or more poetic films. I would call it like poetic films, because I think this is something very creative that I've seen, where you filmed your poems, and that adds a whole new dimension to poetry. So some of our school students were actually looking forward to meeting you virtually, but it was not possible for all of them, and it would not be fair to get just one of them on the meet. And so we just collected a few questions they wanted some answers to. So there was a student from class 10, it's called Shardal. He wanted to know what would be the situation post-COVID. How would people behave? According to your poem, there's a very positive outcome. A world of just perfect life. So, what are your views on it?
I can take maybe two questions. Two questions more, which I'm so sorry, but I have 7 minutes. So, what is my perspective of post-COVID? I think you'd need someone with more wisdom than me for this. I hope that we will know more about what we are capable of than we knew before.
From class 12, and she wants to know. I think it's pretty much an extension of what we spoke. The lines in your poem delivers hope for the future, bright future. So what is your idea of hope behind the lines that you've written? It's pretty much, I think, what you said, but probably you could highlight it.
Yeah, the reason I'm so interested in this phenomenon is because I believe that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what I mean by that is I believe that the way we look at the world has an effect on the way that the world will be and the way that the world manifests itself. Mm-hmm. So I think if you believe that things aren't going to get better, I think the world will support you in that belief.
That belief.
I think that that's the world that you will see out of your window. If you believe that, and it's not easy to, but if you believe that this could be an opportunity to improve areas of your life that you want to, and if you believe that this is a moment that will lead to some resolution, and to even more optimistically will lead to some progress. If you believe that, then I think, and if enough people believe that at the same time, I think that things could get better for people in a way that was so completely, that is unimaginable to us. And so this is what I hope. I hope that people will choose to view the world in an optimistic way rather than a pessimistic way, because I actually think that the way that you look at the world is not outside of the world. It's a relationship, the two are linked, and so your perceptions of what's going on around you is actually a contribution, and working hard to be hopeful and to feel hopeful, I think is worth it for everybody. So that's what I'm promoting.
A valuable point, yeah.
Because this is very interesting, and I want to.
But I'll have to be very quick.
Okay, yeah. So the question is from Hazel, and she's in 10th standard. The question is, if you get a chance to change one thing in this world, what would it be and why?
I think for me, it would be. I read this fascinating book by George Orwell called The Road to Wigan Pier, and the observation in this book that was quite shattering was that so many people who profess to be socialists, let's say, are not operating from a place of loving those in need, loving the poor. They're operating from a place of resenting the rich. you know, and that your motivations are really important in the world. And actually, you know, trying to equal out society because you hate those who have more than you is very different from trying to equal out society because you have a love and a compassion for those who are struggling. So if I could change one thing, it would be to first internally for myself, and then once I felt like I was even getting close to achieving that, then to others. I would try and encourage people to let kindness motivate them rather than greed and resentment, because they're very powerful forces.
What a beautiful thought it is.
Well, I have to sadly...
So on behalf of Sweet Memories High School and Junior College, Panchgani, I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to you, probably Tom Foolery, who has taken his valuable time off his busy schedule for inspiring us. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Tom's work.
Thank you so much, Tom, for being with us today.
Yes, and I'm also grateful to Alex for organizing this event. A big thank you to each and everyone who were the part of the show, our students, our parents, viewers, and our entire team. Stay blessed, stay safe, and be happy.
Pleasure. All of my love.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Namaste. Yeah.